I want to talk first about pregnant women that really need sleep while they're still pregnant. So sleep is important for babies once they get here and partners, but we really want to focus first on exhausted moms that, have a little extra something in the middle that may give them a hard time with sleeping. So some things that you can do are, make sure that you have a dark room, a cold room. And my husband would tell me, Pam, it's freezing in here. And I would say, well, put on a winter coat because I'm about to give birth to a 9-pound baby. Do you want to change places? And that quieted him quickly. So we want to just make sure that you're very comfortable in a cool room. If you have a nice fan, you want to make sure that before you go to sleep, you really calm your mind. Like everyone, moms have 1,000 things on their mind. So what I suggest is make a list, like a to-do list before you go to bed of things that you're going to be thinking about when your brain is racing when you lay down. So make a to-do list before you go to bed, then try and go to bed 30 minutes before you really want to go to sleep. Try and not watch the TV or be on the computer, and so that you can try and rest your mind. Once you go to sleep, especially during this time, we all have all this stuff racing in our mind. So I've been trying to go to sleep and just listen to some meditation. Even though it's kind of for sitting up and relaxing, I lay down and I try and relax and listen to it, and it's really been helping me sleep. Pregnant women, it's all about getting comfortable. I really like body pillows, or if you just use your own pillow, then you want to make sure that you have a pillow behind your back and you have a pillow between your legs. And I even like to kind of hold a pillow and make sure that the side of my belly was kind of laying on the pillow. I did have some requests, asking, they have like carpal tunnel or their arms go numb when they lay on their side. That's very common. You can lay on your back, but you want to make sure that you have really good support. Have your arms supported, have your legs supported on pillows, but you want to make sure you don't have anything that is digging into the back of your knees. And so you want to slide them down on your shins, and then you want to make sure that whether you're sitting or sleeping, you don't want your legs to be dangling because you can get a lot of edema. If you have a lot of pressure on the back of your knees, you can get blood clots. Okay, so it's also nice to get maybe a little foot massage or a neck massage to help you relax before you go to sleep. I think that's the least they can do for us. But you want to just make sure that you're shutting down your brain. Don't have the TV on when you're going to sleep. If you're having a problem with heartburn or indigestion, try not to have a really heavy meal before you go to sleep because that's going to wake you up. And, if you're having, heartburn and indigestion, you might want to prop your head up on a couple more pillows so that, it kind of helps that from coming back up, or good old Tums by the bedside table. But so once we've got you rested, please go to my website and download my book, Raising Confident Parents. It has some wonderful tips. It's a short book that you can actually have time to read, but we wrote it so it just would have tips that you can use. I've been a nurse for 25 years in the nursery, NICU, postpartum, and we wanted to just really give you tips. You can't, you don't have time to read a 500-page book right now. So it's tips for while you're in the hospital. I was a postpartum nurse, so I gave you some secret tips, so don't tell anyone at the hospital that I gave them to you. Please read the book. You can download it for free. Look at the hospital hints, things to do while you're in the hospital, things to make yourself more comfortable. It has what you should bring to the hospital, and it has a lot of good sleep information in the sleep chapter. There's 10 chapters, but I don't want to go into all of them. But in the sleep chapter, there's a lot of good information about how much should my baby be sleeping at what age? How long should their naps be? Most important, how long should they be awake? Because that is key with getting your baby to sleep. healthy. You don't want to keep them awake longer than they can be, because right away at any age, if they're kept up too long, they get overtired. Their cortisol level rises, and even though they're so exhausted, they cannot sleep. They just get way too exhausted and overtired. So now you're dealing with a baby that can't put themselves to sleep. So, I usually start what's called an easy program about 4 months. And that's where the baby eats, they have some activity, and then they should be able to go to sleep on their own without being rocked or fed to sleep. So about 4 to 5 months, we try and disassociate eating with sleep. Now, the first 4 months, in the last 10 years that I've been doing sleep training, I kind of found that is difficult to do at the beginning because they always fall asleep when they're eating, especially when, they're nursing, they're comfy, and they fall asleep. So I found it hard to do at the beginning. But my grandson was just born 4 months ago, and I said, let's try and start this from the very beginning. People say it's done. And so my daughter-in-law, who is amazing, she would try, and just at the beginning, it's really hard, even if you can keep them up for a minute, and then lay them down. At the beginning, we are all in survival mode. So I know I used to drive around with my son in the car to get him to sleep 35 years ago because I was so exhausted. I would have driven to China if it meant I got 3 hours of sleep. So you want to just try if you can to make sure that you don't get them used to sleeping with movement. Please don't let them sleep in their car seat. If they're in the car and it's moving, that's okay. But you don't want to bring the car seat in and let them sleep in the car seat or anything that has a reclining, because their neck can fall down and it can obstruct their breathing. So you want to make sure that you do not do that. There are some things, like rock and play sleepers. I know they are banned from the baby sleeping in them, but that doesn't mean they're still not a really good product. They really help you when you're trying to do the dishes or do something for another child. You can lay them in the rock and play sleeper, and as long as you're watching them, they can sit in there. If they have reflux after they eat, you can hold them up for maybe 15 minutes, put them in the rock and play sleeper that has an incline so that they're sitting up a little bit for another 15 minutes, and that really helps, with the reflux. So trying to get them to sleep, you're going to try little by little to feed them, keep them up for a little bit, and then try and get them used to laying down to go to sleep. Just keep trying, even if it's a minute, 2 minutes, just keep trying, because we kept doing it. And at 3 months, and this is not the norm, and I really can't take credit for it because my daughter-in-law and my son really stuck to it. But at 3 months, he was sleeping 12 hours through the night, and they would feed him, she would breastfeed him, and he was a big boy. She's very little, but he's like 16 pounds at 4 months. She would feed him, and then she would keep him up a little bit longer and longer, and then she would just lay him down in bed, and he just figured out how to self-soothe and how to go to sleep. Now, so that's for the first 4 months. We really want to try to do that as much as possible. Sometimes it's just not possible. And, we're not going to let them cry, maybe a minute or two as they get into their 2 to 3 months. 3 months, you can usually let them cry till about 5 minutes so that they can get used to self-soothing. So the first 4 months, we usually call it parent-directed sleep, where we do whatever we can to put them to sleep. That's what they get used to. So that's their habit. When they wake up, they need you to do exactly what you did. Feed them, rock them, walk them, bounce them on that crazy blue ball. Please don't get one of those blue balls. But they're used to that. That's all they know. So when you lay them down, they don't know how to go to sleep by themselves. When they wake up, they don't know how to go to sleep by themselves. So if we can start that early, it's really going to help you. It's going to eliminate my job a little bit, but that's okay.